Welcome to the Bearded Bama Bushcrafter. Wanted to show you guys this spear. Got them finished up. Took this and put it on the end. Kind of give it some character. We used some hammered steel spray paint, they call it, so it kind of gives it a little bit of a hammered look in some of the metal. Turned out pretty cool. The black walnut dye. Check that out. Sanded it down. I think I brought that grain out. So there's the spears. They look cool. Cooler. Right, Zay?
Yeah, which one's mine?
This one is yours that I have right here.
Thank you.
Because your head's different.
Yeah.
Alright, man, it's a beautiful day. Let me share this with you guys. Check this out. Beautiful. Bluebird sky. Look at that. Yeah, you can take them over there. Man, we're going to have some beautiful weather. It is right here at the dawn of Thanksgiving week. And I'm going to be getting into some stuff. I think Zane and I were trying to, hopefully we're going to be able to make it to the deer stand this evening. I'm just out and about. Wanted to show you all those spears, how they turned out. Going to make a couple more. Silas is wanting one. I'm sure Molly's going to want one. So we'll get those done. I hope everyone has been doing well. Things have been good here. We've been blessed. This week I always enjoy it. Get a little break. And the weather's been very beautiful. So that always enhances the time too. Deer season's opened up. When I say that, our gun season opened up this past weekend in the area that I live in. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a few deer this season. Man, deer meat is so yummy to eat. And some of my favorite, well, it is my favorite meat, is wild venison from a whitetail. I've had elk and black bear, and those are tasty also. Some black bear steaks. Man, those things were so good. And that elk, it was some burger and some jerky. Both very delicious. Oh yeah, and we had some pronghorn. I had that stuff back at a hunting camp some years ago with some of the guys that would go out of state. And they were gracious enough to bring some of the meat and share it from time to time down there at camp. This stuff's wanting to drip down the side. Put a little bit of oil in the lamps. I want to show you guys something. In the fat lighter, when you're looking for good fat wood, fat lighter, kindling, whatever you want to call it, this right here, this real pretty sexy looking stuff, this almost kind of looks like marble. It's deep. Like, man, that's the good stuff right there. And as it starts getting out into the lighter, it's drier. But see how that almost looks wet? That amber look. That is what you look for when you're collecting fat wood. That good vein, look at that. Right there in the center. That's the good stuff right there. See it? It's here. This will burn, don't get me wrong, but this is right here. That's the real good stuff. That's the juicy meat. Alright. Looking nice and pretty. So now at night when I need it, it's prepped. So are the others. The leaves have really started falling in this area. And the trees are starting to get ready for winter. One of my favorite times of year is fall. I've had this piece of wood for some time now. It's pretty dense. It's maple. And I have carved some things in the past with it. Probably around here when you can find it. And it's a native tree, is the river birch. I don't have any growing in my area right here, but there are some within walking distance, and I'm going to collect some of that wood because that's some of the best wood. It's easy to work with. When you start getting into your denser woods, maple is not as dense as oak, but it's a beautiful wood. I believe this is red maple, and when you carve stuff from it, it's real pretty, almost kind of like a white color. But it's a little harder to work with because it's denser than the birch. So I thought this would make a neat little spoon. It's got that natural curvature to it. And it'd be a good, you know, whether it's a ladle. You know, it's kind of like when you're carving something, you kind of have to imagine what you're carving. You see it in there. So I'll make the stop cuts probably about right here on both sides. And then split down, make the handle, and then just start cleaning off all this other stuff and just fine tune it, and hopefully we'll have a spoon. Alright, so I've made the stop cuts. Tried to get them as even as I can. I know it ain't perfect, but it's close enough. And depending on how much you want to work with, you know, take your saw and work into the wood. Probably could go a little deeper, but I'd rather leave more wood on, and then you have that to take off if you start kind of messing up, because when you take it off you can't put it back on. Keep that in mind. Alright, some interesting notes here. I did not realize that piece of wood was so twisted. Can you see that? It wasn't until I started splitting the handle, and see how it started doing. I used a machete, but you know, it started getting in there and twisting. I couldn't tell that. I mean, when you looked at it, or when I looked at it, it looked fairly straight. But when I started cutting into it, and you see how it's twisted. I started up here. And look how it ran all the way. So I don't know. I'm going to try to salvage this and see what I can get out of it. But that's the thing about working with wood. I don't have the knowledge of looking at a piece of wood completely and saying, okay, this is twisted. Until I start getting into it, and then see it's got a gnarly twist. Let's see what we can do. The more I get into this wood, the more difficult it seems to be to work with. Look at that. That wood. That grain is all gnarled up in there. But if you see, I started here and it's split down this side, but it's way over here on that side. So it's almost like a puzzle. I guess I need to go and split this off, and then my handle will be right in here, because I do need to get this large chunk of wood off. Excuse me. Alright, so I made my stop cut a little deeper, hoping to salvage this. We'll see. It'd be cool to get this spoon finished and have kind of a twisty handle. Twisty. I was able to salvage that middle part for the handle. This wood is, it'll be some work. I'm gonna have to take some more of this stuff off, get this more shaped. So it's interesting when you start working with wood. Look at how that grain is in there. This was a limb off of a maple, and boy, it's been through some stuff, hasn't it? Camera's wanting to slip on me. Alright, I was able, with my small camp axe, get a lot more of that wood off. And now, it's just, you know, getting in here, start fine-tuning it. Still got quite a bit of wood to take off, but I like to stop and get the knife and kind of start working it. I think it's going to work pretty good, if you can see. This will be the head part. So I've got a lot of wood to remove here. And I believe I want to work it some more with the axe. The machete's good for splitting and taking out, but the machete can kind of get a little wild on you. And the hatchet can choke up on it, or the axe, and really get the head in there. You got the weight to push through. You got more control, I think. Okay, so I was able, as I was looking at, I really didn't like that fat belly on it. So I was able to get the hatchet here and just, and that's going to be neat. If I can get this tuned in, which I believe I can, get this worked down, and I'll take the axe and start getting my curvature here. That's what I'm going to be, and then get this worked in and get the spoon shape. I think this will be a pretty neat one. We'll see. If you're somewhat curious as to what I've been using, it's a little camp axe by Marble, and just been out here on a stump, just kind of, you know, just working on it, removing that. So now I think it's time for a little more knife work. Just start removing it, because you have to be careful. Sometimes you'll take too much off with your bigger cutting tools. All right, let's see where we're going. All right, just slowly taking a little bit of shape. I can see the spoon-like features there. These little areas right here with these knots in it, I gently take the axe and work that out. It's real hard with your knife. That is so hard. But if you take your axe and just kind of work it down, kind of just have to get a feel for it. The only way to learn is to get out, find you a piece of wood. You can go to your hardware stores, and this is not a 2x4, of course, but you can buy a 2x4, just untreated wood, and you can make spoons. That's a good way to practice. That's pine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what most of that wood is on your 2x4s. It's pine, and I would get untreated, of course. This is how we are so far with the spoon. My handle got cattywampus because of that twist, but I've been working with it, so it's shaping up. So I was working with the axe, and when you get down to this place here, you know, I was really finessing the head down because I didn't want to lob that off. You just take your knife and then just kind of start, keep your fingers out of the way. I'd like to make me one of those carving horses. I think that's what they're called. It's a nice little bench you sit on, and it's got a little vise on it, and it's got a pedal that your foot works the pressure. And so you've got whatever you're working on, and both of your hands are free. When I'm doing it like this is definitely old school. I'm having to hold with one hand and, you know, work. And you're also, very important, guys, when you're cutting, you don't want to be in here. Some of you may have heard of the triangle of death, because your arteries here, if you slice into one of your arteries, you can bleed out real quick before you can get to emergency help, or emergency help gets to you, especially if you don't get a tourniquet on it and get it stopped or slow down so you could get to medical help. So I always like to keep outside of my legs. I don't want to be inside my thighs, because there's sometimes it just, and man, out here I'm not cutting anything but air. Nobody's around me. You know, the Boy Scouts who taught you the blood circle, what you're reaching out your distance when you have a knife. And I just like working away from me. I know sometimes you're doing little things and you know you may be working towards you. I still like to stay out and away from where those main arteries are. because I sure don't want to cut myself and bleed to death. Started taking a little shape. Just kind of real fine, like working with the gouge here. Got a hook knife, and I think this is the left-handed one. No, it's right-handed. Thing about being careful, here again, when you're working with it, don't get too much pressure because that thing will, that wouldn't feel good at all. So just kind of, you know, just get your knife and slowly work it in there. I've got another one, and I cannot, it's better. It's made for spoon carving. And I don't know where it is. I have creatures that come into this. And I think I have these things secure. You're never secure from a rat. Both animal and human. Remember that. When you think you're secure, that's when they get your stuff or they get you. So I've just been taking this gouge, which I know this is a pretty good size one. But it works. It moves the wood. And you don't want to work fast. You want to take your time because, like I said, once you take the wood off, you know, I can't put this back on and rework it. It's gone. It becomes kindling for making a fire later on. But it's starting to really take shape. Look at that. Still trying to do just a little fine tuning. It's coming along. Still got quite a bit to take off. But I'm going to put sandpaper to it. I don't know if that's real traditional, but I use it. I do mean, I'm not an expert, but I do like getting out and doing these kind of things. You should be able to go into an environment without anything. The only thing you can't recreate in nature is metal. So that's why I always say it's important to keep a knife on you, because you can go out, you can gather wood, and you can make you a bowl, a spoon, fork, ladles, whatever, spatulas. Because Spatula City might not be open. And you can make you some eating utensils. It's shaping up pretty cool. Come from that twisted piece of wood to this, I think it's all right. Always remember when you're cutting, like if you're pressing against something to get a little bit of force, of course your blade's outside of any area that you could cut, but be careful of it popping your knuckles. That can hurt. You always want to do things and not try to hurt yourself. If you're in a wilderness setting and you receive a mechanical injury of some sort, you know, it can be bad. A broken hand. I'd rather have a broken finger or two than a broken wrist or a broken arm or a broken leg, of course. That gouge, it really will move some of that meat there. Just kind of, you have to just learn to, which I'm always learning. I've carved a handful of spoons over time. I'm not like some of these guys that do thousands upon thousands. I've only done a handful. It's starting to look more and more like a spoon. Alright guys, I've been sanding on it. Still got, probably could take some more of this out, thin it up. I've got to find my spoon knife. I put stuff places and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm putting it somewhere safe. And then I can't find it. It's a little bit of, not so it don't look bad. I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to put some more work on it. Fine tune it. But if you look at where it came from, to right here, I think it's looking better. Most definitely looking better. I've got to find my knife that's made for spoon carving. It's got a real nice crooked blade on it, and you can really remove this better. I have to be careful with that gouge because it's kind of big. Even when you choke up on it, you still have to be careful. But with that the way the knife is for spoon carving, you've got a lot more control with it. So I'm gonna have to get my hands on it and then finish this up. But right now, I think it's a good stopping point. Just wanted to share this with you guys and get out and get you some wood and just kind of have you an idea. You can draw it out. I've seen like the bigger, which I've attempted to make them the Cuscas or Kutskas, however you pronounce that. It's just a noggin, a bowl carved from wood. You take your can, set it on top when you have everything flattened out, and you can use that for a diagram to draw your circle to work out. I just did all this by sight, just what I was seeing in my head. Maybe one day, if I carve enough, I'll be an expert. But that's what it's all about, doing something over and over, and gets you better. But it would work. Dipping stuff out of a pot, eating. I mean, it's a spoon. All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. It's beautiful. Hope you're out enjoying the sunshine. If it's sunny where you are, maybe snowing where you are, who knows? I would like to see a little bit of snow this year. But go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe. Leave some comments. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll talk to you later.